From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a tropical weather update.
Fred Gossage here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Monday, October 27, 2025, with the afternoon edition of the Tropical Weather Update. We continue to watch Major Hurricane Melissa in the Central Caribbean to the south of Jamaica, still moving to the west-northwest, but it is expected to make that northward turn later today and head toward the island and make landfall tomorrow. It is a powerful Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale this afternoon, with maximum sustained winds now up to 175 miles per hour. And there's very little in the way of anything in the environment to suggest it's going to do any weakening anytime soon. It looks very organized. The outflow in all directions, very organized. Any shear is off to the west of it. What would modulate the intensity between now and landfall in Jamaica would be the potential for eye wall replacement cycles. That's when you get the eye wall, which is the ring of most intense thunderstorms just outside the eye, to replace itself. And sometimes there can be some temporary structure interruptions and some temporary weakening when that happens, but that's nothing that can really be successfully forecasted out ahead of time, because that's controlled all by internal processes, and that's nothing that we can really model ahead of time. That kind of happens on its own internally because of the internal processes of the hurricane. So with that said, we can hope for an eye wall replacement cycle before landfall, but even if that were to happen, it still looks like major high-end impacts on the island of Jamaica, especially where the eye comes on shore in the western parts of the island. That would be where the most intense wind damage and the higher storm surge would be, in that right front part of the eye wall. Here are watches and warnings with Melissa, and we have a hurricane warning for the entire island of Jamaica, as you would expect. We also have southeastern areas of Cuba under hurricane warning. Haiti is under a tropical storm warning, and we now have hurricane watches up through the Turks and Caicos up into the central Bahamas now for Melissa to eventually get there, especially by the middle of the week before it really kicks off to the northeast into the North Atlantic. Here's the latest advisory as of 1 p.m. Central Time this afternoon on Hurricane Melissa. It is a Category 5 hurricane, the third one this season in the Atlantic Basin. Maximum sustained winds now up to 175 miles an hour. There could be, as part of the fluctuations in intensity between now and landfall, there could be some additional strengthening possible between now and landfall, especially if we do not get an eye wall replacement cycle before it makes landfall. For now, moving west-northwest at 3, but over the next 12 hours, it will be making that northward turn. Here is the track, and by tomorrow, officially expected to make landfall tomorrow late afternoon, tomorrow evening, as a Category 5 hurricane in the western and southwestern parts of Jamaica. The mountains on the island will disrupt it, but after it makes landfall, which means that those mountains will not weaken it before it moves on shore. It actually has to move on shore first for the mountains to have even the slightest impact. But after that happens, it will disrupt the inner circulation, bring Melissa down to a 3. Still a major hurricane, still a powerful hurricane, but it will bring the intensity down to a Category 3 before it makes landfall as we head into late Tuesday, early Wednesday, into eastern and southeastern parts of Cuba. And then as we head into Wednesday, still a significant hurricane, but down to a Category 2 by that time as it moves off of Cuba and into the Turks and the Caicos and the southeastern Bahamas. And then we kick it out of here. It may affect Bermuda as we get toward Friday. They've had hurricane impact so far this season. They may see another one as it merges in with a jet stream and gets sheared. We do think it will be down to a Category 1 hurricane by Friday by the time it gets near Bermuda, and then we'll be kicking it farther north into the open Atlantic as either a strong tropical storm or merging in with a jet stream and becoming a non-tropical system. But several areas of high impact over the next couple days before we can get it into the open water, but no threat to the United States. It will not be heading toward the United States. You see a high degree of confidence here in the model data of kicking this thing across Jamaica, across eastern Cuba, across the Turks and Caicos or near there in the south central areas of the Bahamas, and then out into the open Atlantic. You see none of the models taking this toward the United States, which for us locally is certainly good news. But we'll have our thoughts and prayers to be thinking about the folks in Jamaica and Cuba and the Dominican Republic with the outer rain bands there, and the Turks and the Caicos, certainly, because they will need all the thoughts and prayers and eventually the actual physical mutual aid and help after the storm passes that they can get. This will be a major hit on the island of Jamaica in particular. They are used to hurricanes. It's nothing out of the ordinary to have even a significant hurricane either make landfall or come nearby. But with this making landfall as a Category 5 hurricane, as far as we know, back into the mid-1800s, this looks to be the strongest direct landfall they have had. We will certainly be tracking things with Melissa. Our next regularly scheduled update is tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. You can catch that with Kelly Rawson right here on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.